All right, hello. Welcome to Yesterlore. I'm Grimslayer, and today we are going to continue reading Sir Orfeo. I'm just fixing the fireplace a little bit over here. Excuse me while I do that. There we go. It's a very delicate process getting this thing framed correctly. Alright, there we go. I think that's okay. I hope that's okay. Okay, I think we're going to leave it there. So, last time on Yesterlore, we got to line 264. So, to briefly review, we are reading Sir Orfeo, the Middle English Breton lay. It's called a Breton lay because the story seems to have come from Britain in Brittany in France. And the poet of this poem, or like the author of this poem, gives credit to the Bretons for the version from which they are basing it on. So that's why it's called a Breton lay, and also just the genre, the style. It is, as we have mentioned in the past, based loosely on the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice, but we've already seen some significant differences in the beginning. For example, in Orpheus and Eurydice, they were getting married and she gets bitten by a snake. In our version here that we're reading, they're already married, and she goes out, Herodes goes out maying with some maidens, falls asleep at a grafted tree, an impetre, and wakes up harming herself and being distraught. And we learn that she was visited by some fairies, some fae, who told her that she's going to come with them, whether she likes it or not, and they take her, the elf king, through his kingdom, and then return her, and then say, we will come tomorrow, whether you like it or not. Herodes tells Orfeo this tale. He says, heck yeah, they are. There's no way they're going to take you. And so he has her surrounded by guards and stuff, but by fairy magic, they just poof in and snatch her. She disappears. And last time we saw that happening, and then we saw Sir Orfeo grieving. Sir Orfeo, of course, is the king. He's called Sir, but he's king. He's grieving, and then he says he never wants to see a woman again. So he goes off into the wilderness, bringing only his harp and like basically a sheet to wear. And last time we got some very poetic language talking about how, whereas he was once a king who had many subjects, now he goes in rags in the woods with animals for companions and stuff. Not the good kind of companions, just that's who's around him. So that's where we left off. I will read the last sort of sentence we had before, and then we'll go ahead and continue where we left off. So we are, once again, as a reminder, we are using this version on the rochester.edu website that is linked in the past recordings, and I will send the link right now as well. It is the Anne Laskaya and Eve Salisbury edition of the Middle English Breton Lays. And I've just put the link in the stream chat. All right, we are on line 265. We just read 264. And our last line was very hyperbolic. It was, Lord, who might tell Thesora, this king suffer 10 year and more. Okay. Lord, who may tell the sorrow this king suffered 10 years and more. Okay, that's where we left off. So we are on line 265. Let me just check that you can see that. Yes, you can. Okay, so we'll read a bit down, and then I will sort of pause and check for understanding and that kind of thing. So, his hair of his beard black and raw, to his girdlestead was growa. To his girdlestead was growa. His harp whereon was all his glay, he hid in an hollow tree. And when the weather was clear and bright, he took his harp, to him well richt, and harped at his own wheel, into all the wood the sun gan chill, that all the wild bestes that there beth, for joy abouten him thy teth, and all the fools that there were, come and sat on each a brera, to hear his harping Athena, so much melody was therein. And when he his harping let a wold, no best be him a bead nold. Okay, so we continue with more description of his state. His hair of his beard black and raw. His beard's hair is black and rough. Okay, roa here is rough. Sometimes it's roja, which is more close to our rough with the GH that we have. To his girdlestead was groa. So girdlestead, so the stead of a girdle, where a girdle would be. So that would be the waist there, was grown. So like his beard was long, rough, and grown to his waist. His harp whereon all his glee, he hid in a hollow tree. He hid in a hollow tree. And when the weather was clear and bright, he took his harp to him well richt. He took it well right, and harped at his own will. Harped at his own will. Into all the wood the sun gan chill. Sun began to, the sound began to, oh yeah, we don't have this right. Shila is like, ring. Like the sound rang out. It began to ring out. That all the wilde bestes that there be, all the wild beasts that there be, for joy about him, teth, they gathered around. And all the fowls that there were, all the birds that there were, came and sat on each briar to hear his harping, his fine harping. So much melody was there. And when he would let his harping, when he would let it, leave it, no beast by him would abide. And this nold here is wold with the ne in front of it again, so it's not would. No beast would not abide by him. And remember, double negatives do not cancel out, so this is just extra negative. No beast whatsoever would abide by him. They only came when he was harping. Alright, let's continue on. He meet se him besides oft in hot undertides. The king of fiery with his rote come to hunt him all about, with dim cree and blowing, and hundes also with him berking. Ac no best they no nome, no never he nist whither they become. And over wheele he meet him say, as a great ost be him te. Well atorned 100 knechtes, each armed to his richtes, of countenance stout and fierce, with many displayed banners, and each sword draw hold, ac never he nist whither thy word. Okay, let's sort of pause thereabouts. So, he might see beside him, often in the hot undertides, the hot undertides, the sort of morning, late morning, the king of fiery with his rote. His rote is his company. So the king of the land of the fiery, with his rote, with his company, come to hunt him all about. So they're coming around him to hunt. They're not coming him. hunting him, with dim cry and blowing, and hounds also with him barking. Okay. So they're blowing horns. They've got hunting dogs. Okay. Ak no beste no noma. This is nom again. Take. So this they did not take any beast. No never hennes whither they become. He also didn't know where they went, where they became. And other while he meet him say, and other times you might see them, as a great host, ost there, be him te. So as a great host by him. And then te here is went. Well adorned, well adorned, well equipped. 1,000 knights. Each armed to his rights, each well armed, of countenance stout and fierce, with many displayed banners. And each, and I, wait, no, this is each, and each his sword ye draw hold. And never hinnes whither they went, then he never knew where they went again. And over wheeler he say other thing. Knichtes and levedies come dancing, in quaint attire, easily, quaint pass and softly, tabours and trumpets jede him be, and all manner minstrelsy, and on a day he say him beside 60 levedies on horse ride, gentil and jolif as breed on ris. Nocht o man among us him ner thernis, and each a falcon on hond bearer, and ridden on hawking be o rivera. Okay, let's pause there. So we were up here, and other times, he saw other things. Okay, knights and ladies came dancing in quaint attire, in nice attire, guilefully, probably like in a how would you explain that? They came guisily. It was well crafted. Arrival, quaint pass, like quaint steps, nice, graceful steps, and softly, smoothly. Tabours and trumpets. Tabours is just from French. It's trumpet. This is trumpets. This is drums. Went. Jede is an old way of saying went. Someone obligatorily said among us in the chat. We'll get there. So yeah, trumpets and drums went by him, and all manner of minstrelsy, lots of music playing. And on a day he saw him beside 60 ladies on horse ride, gentle and jolif. This is like jolly, basically, as a bread on rice. Okay, this looks like bread on rice, but it's not bread on rice. It's bread is bird. It's another way of saying bird, and rice is a branch of a tree. So gentle and jolly as a bird on a branch, basically, is the simile here. Nocht o man among us hem thernis. Nocht o man, not a man, was among them. Yeah. No man among them. Among us him, among them. And each a falcon on hond bearer. Each bore a falcon on hand and rode hawking a bee out of it by a river. Okay, let's continue. Of gam thy fund well gold hound, mollards, heron and cormorant, and foles of the water ariseth. The falcons him well deviseth, each falcon his prize loch, that sech orfeo and loch. Okay, let's pause before he talks. So, of game, they found, well, good hunt. They got plenty of things to hunt. Lots of game. Not what we would call game, because they're all birds here. Mallards, herons, and cormorants. And fowls of the water. Waterfowls. Okay, yeah. Fowls of the water arise. The falcons had well devised, so they did a good job hunting them. Each falcon slew his prey sloch. That Orfeo said, and loch, and laughed. That Orfeo saw and laughed. Parfait, quoth he, that is fargama, thideri chill be goddess nama, each was ye one switch work to say. So, parfait, speaking French here. However, it means something different than it means in French. So parfait here is perfect in French, but here it's more like I say, almost. Like it's too perfect to believe. He said, there's fair game. There's some good game. Thither ichil, thither I will. Remember, each il is each will put together. So it's there I will, by God's name. Each was you once which work to say. I was accustomed to see such work. Probably the work of hunting. So he arose, and thither gante. He went there. Okay. To a levity he was yekoma, beheld and hath well undernoma. Okay. And saith be all thing that it is his own queen, Dame Herodes. Okay, so he arose and went in that direction. To a lady he was come, beheld and hath well undernom, undertook, which in Middle English is more like understood, like he was able to understand and see by all thing that it is his own queen, his own wife, Dame Herodes. So this is his wife that was taken from him by the Fae. He's found her. So he's basically been surrounded in this world of Fae now. Being in the wild, he sees all these Fae come around and hunt around him. He's kind of been like almost drawn in without even moving. It's like the Fae have enveloped the nature around him. And there's Herodes. Whoa, she's there among all the ladies that came with the hunting Fae. Okay. Jern he beheld her, and she him eke, ach neuther to other a word no spake. For messiahs that she on him say, that had been so rich and so high, that terrors fell out of her eye, that other levities this ye say, and maked her away to read, she must with him no longer abide. Okay, so, yearn he beheld her. Yearn, this is where we get the word yearn from, but this can be an adjective, an adverb. I think it's an adverb here, like yearningly. But yearning is a little more general in Older English. In Old English, yearn is just like with zeal, eagerly, and I think it means that here too. Well, that's what our editors say. They say this is eagerly, and I agree with them. Yearn he beheld her, like eagerly he beheld her, and she him also. Eka here is also, but neither to the other spoke a word. For messiahs thought she on him say, that had been so rich and so high, that terrors fell out of her eye. So neither spoke to one another, because, unfortunately, like, she looked upon him. Messiahs here is like, I'm forgetting the etymology at the moment, but it's sorrow here. For sorrow that she looked upon him. She's looking upon him in, like, regret, which is strange, because he's like, OMG, it's you, right? He's like, whoa. But she's looking at him in regret, and tears, so he had been so rich and so high. Tears fell out of her eye. The other ladies saw this and made her right away. She must with him no longer abide. She couldn't stay with him anymore. Alas, quoth he, no me is woe, why nil death no me slow. So, oh wait, though, let's get to the end of the speech here. When death no mislo, alas wretche, that I no nicht, dear no after this sicht, alas to long that last me life. When I no dar nocht with me wife, no he to me o word speka, alas, when il min hert breka, parfai quath he. Till tide with what betide, Wieder so this levedis ride, the selva why it shall stretch of leaf no death me no recha. Okay, so he's very distraught, having seen her and seen her have to go away. He says, alas, now me as well, there's woe to me. Why nil, this is ne will put together, so why will death not now me slay? Why won't death slay me? Alas, wretch, that I may not die now after this sight. He doesn't want to be around anymore after having this experience. He's had, like, it's one thing to have your wife taken from you. Suddenly it's another to see her again and then see her taken away again. This is very much hearkening back to the Orpheus myth, where he gets to almost take her out and then he turns around, sees her, and she has to go back. But here it's like the ladies just kind of force her, like the elf ladies force her to right away. Also, sorry, if I say elf, I mean fae. It's a slip of the tongue. We haven't really gotten the word elf yet in this poem. So, yeah, I should be saying fairy or fae. Fairy is the place, fae is the creature most of the time, or just fairy is like the concept here. But so far it's been pretty consistently either the place or the concept. It hasn't really been used to talk about an individual yet, I don't think. I may be misremembering. Anyway, he says, too long lasts my life. My life has lasted too long. When in no dar nocht with me with no he to me or word speak. When I dare not be with my wife, no he to me or word speak. Don't call me or speak a word to me. Alas, will nil mean heart to break. Why will my heart not break? Parfait. Again, we get the parfait here. Sorry, I just got taken out of it. Quath he, tida was betida. Tida, what betida. Tide, what betide. Come what may. Whither so this levity ride, wherever this lady rides, or these ladies ride, the selva why each shall stretch. I shall stretch, I shall go quickly in that way. Of leaf no death be no recha. Of either life nor death, it doesn't reach me, as in, it doesn't matter to me. Whether or not death comes to me, I'm going to try to follow these people, because there's my wife, I'm going to follow her, of course. So, his sklavine he deda on also spak. Anhänge his harp upon his back, and had well go the will to go on. He no spar neither stub no stone, in ataroche the levedis ride, and he after and nochta bideth. So, his sklavine is his cloak that he's wearing. He put on spak quickly, and hung his harp on his back, and had well go the will to go. He had a very good will to go, a very strong desire to go. He no spared neither stub nor stone. Neither stub nor stone did he spare. Nothing could stop him. In a rock, the levities readeth. Into a rock. The ladies rode into a rock. Okay, that's where the fae are standing up, behind a stone. That feels very... we see that kind of motif a lot with, like, the fae hiding in stones and stuff like that. So a big stone, they go in, and he after, and nocht abideth, he not wait. When he was in the roche I go, well 3 mil other mo, as breed so sunna on sommers die, smother and plain and all grene, hillen og dale naster nonje sene, amid the londa castle he sige, richa and real, and wonder hie, all the utmost wall, was clear and shina as crystal, and 100 tours there were about, De Giselichen Bathheld stout, the buttress come out of the ditch of red gold I archidriche. The vosor was avowed all, of each manner diverse omal. Okay, we'll stop right there. So, he went to the rock. So when he came into the rock, 3 miles or more, Oltha often means or, so it's 3 miles or more, he came into a fair country, as bright as sun on a summer's day, smooth and plain and all green. So plain, as in it's on a plain, it's level, smooth and plain, hill nor dale. So neither hill nor valley was there, none seen. A mid-Atlantic castle he saw, rich and royal, and a wondrous high. All the outermost wall, was clear and shine as crystal, as beautiful as crystal. And 100 towers there were about. The Giselich, this is like wonderfully, and battlements stout, strong battlements. Of red gold arched, richly arched with gold, and red, the vosors he avowed all, of each mana divas omal. Okay. So the vosor is like, I'm forgetting what the vosor is, actually. I am going to need to look that up. And get back to you next time. I'm not going to look that up right now. What matters is everything is adorned pretty ornately. Within there were weede wones, all of precious stone. Weede wones are wones is like the dwellings, all of precious stone. They were pillar on to behilt. Was all of burnished gold. So the pillars to behold was all of burnished gold, and all land was ever licht, for when it should be therk and nicht. Therk here is dark and night. The richest stone is licht gona. So it went out. It shined. No man might tell, no think each in thought. No man may tell or think it thought. For each work that there was wrought, rich work that was wrought there, that was worked there, be all thing him think that it is, the proud court of paradise. Okay, so it's like, it seems, it would seem to someone that it's the proud work of paradise. Think here means seem. Think is think as in put together thoughts. Think is to seem. And usually it's think to someone. Him think. Him thinks. Me thinks. It seems to me is what that means, or it seems to him here. So by all thing, it would seem to him that it is the proud court of paradise. Again, kind of an opposite to what we would see in the original myth, where Orpheus goes into the underworld, which is more sort of like quiet and dark. In sort of the ancient Greek Hades, it would be like quiet and dark for most of his journey. There would be some perils on the way. Paradise, not really. But this fairyland that he's gone to, where his wife is and where the Fae are, is so beautifully decorated and shiny that it's like paradise. In this castle the levedis a licht, he walden after yef he micht, Orfeo knocketh at a gate. The porter was ready thereat, and asked what he would have I do. Parfait, quoth he, each am a minstrel, lo, to solace the Lord with me glay, yef his sweet will be. Okay, so he says parfait. Again, parfait is just kind of a general shouting in this Middle English text. It's like, alas, or lo. He said, I am a minstrel. Lo, behold, I am a minstrel, to solace thy Lord with my glee, with my music, if his will be sweet. if he is leaning in that direction, basically. If he's it sounds nice to him. This will be sweet. The porter undid the gate anon. So right away, the porter undid the gate, and let him into the castle gone. Then he gan behold about all, and see liggand within the wall of folk that were thitherybrocht and thought dead and nare nocht. Some stod without an hadde, and some non armes nade, and some thought the body had a wonder, and some lay woda I bonde, and some armed on horse sate, and some a strangled as they ate, and some were in water drained, and some with fear all forshreint. Okay, so they let him in the castle, and he sees lying within the wall a folk there brought. Folk brought thither, and thought dead, and not a nocht, but were not. So people who were thought to be dead, but were not. And by thought, again, this is the past of things, so it's more like seemed. They seemed dead, but weren't. Okay. Perhaps like his wife. Like, she didn't die. She had a bad, almost like a night terror, but that turned out to be real because the Fae did come and get her IRL. But it's like she's dead because she was taken away and he had to grieve her, but she's not. She's brought there. So he sees all these dead people here. Some stood without head. And some non armis nada. Some not had, so that's ne had, did not have arms. And some through the body had wounds. And some lie wode. Ibonda. Wode here is like, this is related to Woden. And it's wold in Old English. It means like crazed, basically. And bound. And some armed on horses sat. Some sat armed on horses, and some strangled as they ate. And some were drowned in water, and some were forshreint with fire. They were shriveled by fire. Weaves there lie on chilled bed, some dead and some awed, and wonder felle there lie beside us, ritas they sleep here under tides. Eche was thus in this world yenoma, with fiery thither I coma. Okay, so we get some more. Wives lay there on child's bed, and some dead, and some awed. This is sort of the verb form, the causative verb of woed here. Some crazed, and this is like driven, crazy, driven mad. And wonder fell there lie beside us. Wondrously, fella is many. Right as they slept, like right as, just as they slept, there under tides, that late morning, as they slept there under tides. So like that late morning nap that Herodes had, this is like what she had. This is what's happening to them. Right as they're sleeping in their under tides, they're having all these sort of like representations of death appearing to them. This is what it seems like. Remember, they're not actually dead. It just seems like they're dead. But they're really taking a nap and having some kind of nightmare, it seems. And each was thus, in this world, taken with fiery thither coma. With fairy came thither. So here fairy, again, is how she was taken. She was taken with that sort of magic that they used. I'm using the word magic. The text does not use it, they use the word fairy. So with whatever fairy powers they have, that's how these people were brought here. There he say his own wife, Dam Herodes, his left leaf, sleep under an impetre, be here clothes he knew that it was hay. Okay, so there he saw his own wife, Dame Herodes, his life, his dear life. Right? Life is that word for dear or beloved. Sleeping under an impetre. Again, it's like the same thing that happened when she was doing it in the sort of human world. By her clothes, he knew that it was her. I guess he couldn't recognize her. Maybe she's facing the other way. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. And he, this is an example of he meaning she. Again, it's gender pronouns are very ambiguous. Usually he is clearly her, whereas head is there. But we've seen some exceptions to that. Here we see he means she. It can also mean he. Here it's he. He went into the king's hall. So for a brief moment in Middle English, he could mean he or she. And when he had behold this marvels alle, when he had behold all these marvels, he went into the king's hall. Van zij he there assembly zicht, a tabernacle blissful bricht. Therein her meester king zete, and her queen fire and swete, her krones, her clothes shine so bricht, that unneth behold he him nicht. When he had beholden all that thing, he knelt down before the king. Before we see what he says, let's catch up to him here. So when he saw those marvels, he went to the king's hall. There he saw there a seemly sight, a beautiful sight, a tabernacle, blissful. Tabernacle here is just sort of any kind of covered place. Like could be like a palanquin, or in this case, it's probably just like a dais with a canopy over it or something. Therein, their master king sat, and their queen, fair and sweet. Okay. Her crowns, their crowns, sorry, head here means there. Their crowns, their clothes shone so bright that beneath him, him might. Unneth behold he him nicht. He could barely look at them. Unneth here is barely. Because they were so bright he could barely see, like it's blinding him. He knelt down before the king. He knelt down before the king, and then what does he say? He says, "O Lord," he sighed, "if it thee will were, me menstracy thou showst e here." Okay. If it be thy will, if it were thy will, my minstrelsy thou shouldst hear. The king answered, "What man art thou, that art hither comen now? Each none that is with me, no sent never after they. Sudden that each her regni gan, enough fond, never saw full hardy man, that hither to us durst wende, but that each world of sender." Okay, so he's kind of surprised. He's like, "What man art thou? What man art thou? That art hither coming now? I, no none that is with me. No sent never after thee." So, I nor no one that's with me sent after you. No one asked you to be here. Why are you here? He's confused. Where did you come from? Seten that each her regni gan. So, seten that each her regni gan. Ever since here, I here began reign. Right? Regni is reign. So ever since my reign began, I know found never so full-hearted. I've never seen such a foolhardy man that hither to us durst wende, that durst come here to us. Never seen someone that foolish to come here to us, but that I would send for him, unless I wanted him summoned. And we see Sir Orfeo's reply. "Lord," quoth he, "trow full well, I am but a poor minstrel, and sir, it is the manner of us to search many a lord's house. They we not welcome no bay, yet we must proffer forth our glee." So, Lord, true full well, believe full well, trow full well, I am but a poor minstrel. I am not, but a poor minstrel. And, sir, it is the manner of us being probably minstrels, harpers, to seek many lord's house, though we not welcome no be, though we not be welcome, yet we might offer forth our glee, our music. So maybe you didn't ask me to be here, but I'm here basically soliciting my services to play for you. He's like, "I'm just a little guy. Can I play for you, please?" So, let's see what the king has to say. "Before the king he sat down, and took his harp so merry of song, and tempered his harp, as he well can." Sorry. Computer's being strange. And blissful notice he vergan. That all that in the palace were come to him for to hear, and liggeth adon to his fate. Him thanketh his melody so sweet. The king hearkeneth and sit full still, that hear his glee he hath God will. Okay, so before the king sat down, he's not even going to wait for an answer. He said his piece. I'm offering you my music, and he sits down and he starts playing. Tempereth his harp. He tunes his harp. Tempers his harp, as he well knows how. And blissful notes there began. All the palace were come to him for to hear, and lie down at his feet. To them it seemed his melody so sweet, the king hearkens and sits full still to hear his music. He hath goodwill. He's enjoying it. The king likes the music. The fey king. Golde borde he had of his glee. Okay. Golde borde his half of his glee. Sorry, I'm fixing whatever issue my computer was having. Alright, we are good. The rich queen also had hay. Okay, so borde here is pleasure. We saw that everybody was like humor. Here it's like pleasure. Here, borde he had of his glee, of his music. The rich queen also had it. She also had a good time. The queen. When he had a stint his harping, and he stopped his harping, then said to him the king, Minstrel, me liketh well the glee, no ask of me what it be, largelig it shall they pay, no spake unto mich asai. Okay. So minstrel, it's me liketh well. So just like think, seem, liketh, also it usually takes like an object as its subject. So me liketh, it's pleasant to me. This is how it works in Romance languages. Anyone who's familiar with that, it likes to me. It's pleasing to me. Minstrel, it pleases me well, your music. Now ask me what it is. Largely I will pay thee. Now speak, and thou might say. So, what does Orfeo say? He says, Sir, he sighed, each besecheth that o woldes give me that each levity bricht on blay that slepeth under the impetre. He says, Sir, I beseech thee that you would give me that self-same woman, bright and blay, bright of complexion, that sleeps under the impetre. And the king says, Nay, quoth the king, that nocht nera, a sorry couple of yo it were, for thou art lena roa and black, and she is lovesome without a lack. And lovelich thing it were for thee to send here in thee company. So he's like, no, that you would not be a nice looking couple. A sorry couple you would be, a poor match. You're thin, rough, and all dirty, and she's beautiful without blemish. Lothlich thing it were for thee, because to see her in your company. So basically, you would not go good together. All right. What does Sir Orfeo have to say to that insult? O Sir, he said, gentle king, yet were it a well-fowled thing to hear a lesson of the mouth. So, Sir, as ye said north, what each would ask, have ye should, and never so most the word hold. Okay, he's turning the king's words back at him, and he says, O sir, gentle king, to hear a lacing of the mouth. Okay. To hear a lie of thy mouth. So, sir, as ye said north, as you just now said, what each would ask, have ye should. What I should ask, I should have. What I would ask, I should have. And needest thou most the word hold. You must hold your word. You should keep your promise. So the king is like, okay. The king said, "Then it is so. Take here be the hand and go. Of here it shall fatov be blithe." Okay, so the king says, since it is so, take her by the hand and go. Of her I shall that you be blithe, that you be happy. I wish you well. Okay, you know what? You're right. I was being a jerk for dissing you, for looking grimy. I made a promise. I'm going to keep it. So the Fey King kept his promise. Okay. He knelled adon and thunked him swithe. His weave he took be the hund, and did him swithe out of that land, and went him out of that thede. Richta sig home the way he yede. Okay, so he kneeled down and thanked him very much, swithe. His wife he took by the hand, and did him swithe swiftly out of that land, right away. They got out. Right as they, so they went out of that thede, that country. Right as they came, that way they went. They were out of there. So long he hath the way inoma to Winchester hes ye come, that was his owen cité. Ac no man knewe, that is was he. No further than the tonus en, for knowledge no durst he wend. But with a beggar he built full narwa. There he took his herbarwa. To him and to his own wife as a minstrel of pover lief, and asked tidings of that land, and all the kingdom held in hand. Okay, so long he had come that way, he'd taken that way. To Winchester he's come. That was his own city. So he goes back to his city, but no man knew that it was he. They can't recognize him. He's been living in the wilderness for too long. So, no further than the townsend for knowledge, he dared not go. No one recognized him, but with a beggar, it built full now, built very smallly, whose house was very small. There he took his harbor. So on the town's end, he took it on the outskirts, because he couldn't go in because no one recognized him. To him and his own wife. As a minstrel of poor life, he asked tidings of that land and how the kingdom held in hand. How were things while I was gone, is what he's asking here. The poor beggar in his coat told him every to grot. In his cottage, the other poor beggar told him every piece. How her queen was stole away. 10 year gone with fiery. With fiery. And how her king an exile yede, but no man nist in which a thede. And how the steward the long gone hold, and other many things him told. So, the beggar tells him, oh yeah, the king left because his queen was gone, taken by fairies, and now the king was in exile, and the steward held his land for a while, and told him many other things. Amorwa o jain nona tide, he maked his wife there a bide. The beggar's clothes her bore with anon, and hang his harp his rigja upon. And went him into that city, that men might him behold and say. So, on the morrow, the next day, Oyain, against noontide, so in the direction of noontide, when it was almost noon, he made his wife there wait, with the beggar. The beggar's clothes he borrowed, and hung his harp upon his rigge, his back, his ridge, and went into the city, that men meet him behold and see. Okay. Earls and barons bold, Buriais and Levidis, him gun behold. Buriais are citizens, people of the burg. This is from the same old French word that gives us the word bourgeois, but it does not. It just means person living in a city at this point. Lo, I said, switch a man, how long the hair hungeth him upon. How long the hair hangs upon him. Lo, how his beard hangeth to his knee. His beard hangs to his knee. Hey, is ye klungen also a tree. He's gnarled like a tree. And as he yede in the street, with his steward he gan mate, and loade he set on him a cray. Sir steward, he said, merci. Each man horpor of heathenis. Help me now in this distress. Okay, Sir Steward, mercy, but also maybe thank you, because he did keep his land while he was gone. I'm a harper of heathenness, from the heath, the wilderness. Help me now in this distress. The steward said, come with me, come. Of that each have, thou shalt have some. Every good harper is welcome, me too, for my lord is love, Sir Orfeo. Alright, so. Come with me, come. Of that I have, thou shalt have some. Of what I have, what I have, you have some. Every good harper is welcome to me, for my lord's love, Sir Orfeo. Yeah, so my lord, who I'm sitting in for, loves harping, so you are totally welcome here. This is like, we love harpers here. In the castle the steward sat at the mate, and many lording was by him set. There were trompers and tabourers, harpers fella and crowders. Mitche melodies and maked alla, and Orfeo sat stilla in the halle. And herkneth, when thy ben all stilla, he toke his harp, and tempered schille. The blissfulest notice his harp there, that ever any man heard with air. Each man liketh well his gley, and kneweth the harp als blieve. Minstrel, he said, so mot thou thrive. Where hadst thou this harp, and who? I pray that thou may tell no. Okay, so everyone listened to his beautiful harp playing, and the steward beheld and began to see, he began to understand, and knew the harp as blieve, knew it at once. He recognized that harp. Funny he didn't recognize Orfeo, but he did recognize the harp. Lord! So he says, minstrel, so might thou thrive. Where did you find this harp? Where did you get it? Where hadst thou this harp, and how? Pray tell me now. Lord, quoth he, in unkose thede, thorth a wilderness as yede, very found in a dal, with lions a man to torn smale, and wolves him frete with teeth so sharp. Be him me fond this each harp. Well, 10 year it is ago. Okay, so Orfeo tells a story. He says, Lord, he said, in an uncouth feed, an unknown country, through wilderness as I went, there I found in a dale, with lions, a man torn to pieces, and wolves him ate, with teeth so sharp. By him I found this same harp, well 10 years it is ago. Okay. The 10 years ago thing, I think, is the thing that finally tips him off. Oh, quoth the steward, no me is woe, that was me lord, Sir Orfeo. This is so funny. Oh, now it's woe to me, that was my lord, Sir Orfeo. Alas, wretcha, what shall I do, that have sweet a lord in Laura, that have such a lord lost? Oh, why that each was ye bore? Oh, woe that I was born. That him was so hard gracia yarked, and so vile death ye marked. Okay. So, yarked here, this is a beautiful word and I wish we still had it. So hard grace allowed, yarked. That he was granted such a hard fate, and so vile a death marked upon him. He was ordained such a vile death. Adon, he fell as one the ground. His barons him took up in that stone. Okay. Down he fell, swooned to the ground. His barons took him up in that hour, in that time, and telleth him how it geth. It is no boat of man's death. There is no boat. There's no cure for man's death. Okay. King Orfeo knew well bethan, his steward was a true man, and loved him as he ought to do, and stond up and saith thus, Lo, steward, hearken know this thing. Ye each were Orfeo the king, and had ye suffered full yore, in wilderness and much sore, and had ye won me queen away out of the land of fiery, and had ye brought the levity yende. Riecht her to the town's ende, and with a beggar herein ye nome, and well myself hither ye come, poverlich to the thus stille. And each found the thus trewe, though no shouldst it never rewe. Sickerlich, for love or I, thou shouldst be king after me die. And if thou of me death hadst been blieve, thou shouldst have voided, also swede. Okay, so this is where Sir Orfeo reveals his frankly evil plan. He says, so, if it were me, if I were King Orfeo and hadn't gone through this whole adventure and come back, and you were happy, you should be the next king after my day. So I'm going to name you heir. You should never rue this. You should never regret it for me to come back. But, surely, for love or for fear, thou shouldst be king after my day. But if thou hadst been blithe, happy about my death, then you should be voided. You should be banished, sent into the void from this kingdom right away. So basically, this was a test. How loyal is his steward who's kept his land for 10 whole years and not taken the throne? Clearly, he's loyal. So this was kind of overkill, in my opinion, for Orfeo to do this messed up, fake-out death trick. But he's the king, I guess. So then, although that therein said that it was King Orfeo under yet, and the steward him well know, and over the board he threw, and fell down to his fate, so did everich lord that there sat, and all they said after crying, Ye beth our lord, sire, and our king. Glad they were of his leave, to chamber they lad him als believe, and bathed him and shaved his beard, and teared him as a king apart. On 7 with great procession, that brought the queen into the town, with all manner minstrelsy. Lord, there was great melody, for joy that weep with her eie, that him so Sunday come and say. So they're all so happy he's back. You are our king, yay! And they celebrate. They shave him, they put him in his kingly garb, and they bring the queen back into town with all manner of music, and everyone's so happy. No King Orfeo newe coronet is, and his queen Dame Herodes, and lived long afterward. And Sedin was king the steward, Harpurs in Bretagne after than, heard ho this merveil began. And made hereof a lie of gold likening, and nymphed it after the king. That lie Orfeo is Jehota, God is the lie, Swete is the nota. Thus kom Sir Orfeo out of his kara, God grant us alle well to fare. Amen. Okay, that is the end of Sir Orfeo. So, now King Orfeo, crowned anew, was newly crowned, and his queen Dame Herodes, and lived long afterward. And since the king was the sword, harpers in Britain after then heard how this marvel began, and made thereof a lay of good liking, and named it after the king. That lay Orfeo was called. Good is the lay, sweet is the note. Thus came Sir Orfeo out of his care, out of his sorrow. God grant us all well to grow. Amen. Amen is how you tend to end things in Middle English poetry. So that is the end of Sir Orfeo. Are there any comments, questions, perplexities, thoughts after having read this together? Very strange. very different ending from the ancient Greek myth. Chiefly the fact that it's not a tragedy anymore. I mean, there's tragedy in it, but he gets her back, and they live happily ever after he does a kind of rude trick on his steward to test how loyal he is. He gets to go back. Yeah, that is Sir Orfeo. I think it's very interesting what we learn about Fae in this poem. The Fae in this poem are kind of weird. They're doing some weird stuff. Why do they have all these, like, appearing to be dead people in different circumstances? Like, she just went, all she did was take a nap, right? That was her crime. It doesn't seem like they're being punished for crimes, because all she did was take a nap, right? But she ends up being kept in that sort of, like, sleep state in fairyland. In fairy, she's just kind of there, seeming to be dead, just as everyone else is seeming to be dead. So it's a beautiful kingdom with fairies all over the place, with fae, but humans that have been taken there are just in a sort of fake dead state. They're not really dead. It's kind of strange. But the Fae King ends up being kind of reasonable at the end. He was trying to say no to Orfeo taking her back, but ultimately he made a promise to give him what he asked of in payment for the minstrelsy, and so he does. He honors that. There is a trend in fairy literature to see that Fae tend to stick more to the letter of what they say than to the spirit of what they say. Like, the king literally said, the Fae King literally said, I will give you what you ask. And that's what Sir Orfeo is able to use against him. He's like, you said this thing, were you lying or no? So there's this idea of, like, keeping to their word specifically, and not necessarily, like, what they meant. Because as a king, he can turn, if he says you can have whatever you want, but then someone makes an unreasonable request, he could totally say no. But he doesn't say no, because that would be perceived as a lie, potentially. Because he said one thing, and he does a different thing. We'll see that again in some of the other things we're going to read. So yeah, that is Sir Orfeo. I went a little bit over time today because we were so close to the end. I was just like, let's just finish it. Next time next time will be the last day of September. Part of me, well, my plan was to start of Arthur and of Merlin, but if we start of Arthur and of Merlin, we're probably not going to finish it before the end of October. And I want to do some spooky things in October, so I'm going to change my plan a little bit, or at least the order of my plan, and we'll read something else next time. I have not yet decided what, so stay tuned for that. But until then, thank you, everyone who was able to be here. And anyone in the future watching this, please feel free to comment, ask questions in the YouTube comments. Like, subscribe, ring the bell, share it if you think someone else would like this. Like reading Middle English poetry. It's fun. We'll be reading more Middle English poetry. We're going to read of Arthur and of Merlin. We're going to read some other stuff, probably Sir Lanfal. But first we'll read the Old French version of L'Envoi, and then we'll read the Middle English version, and then we'll read some Sir Gawain stuff, because I really love the Sir Gawain stuff, and we'll read some other King Arthur stuff. So there's lots of fun Middle English stuff to come, but next week we'll probably do something a little different. We'll do something spooky for the next few weeks, I think. I think that would be fun. So thank you again. Have a wonderful rest of whatever time zone you're in when you're watching this, and thank you. Goodbye.